He drives a 10-year-old car. His watch cost $40. His clothes have no visible logo. His house, in a neighborhood nobody would photograph, is modest enough that the neighbors have never once suspected what sits in the accounts behind that ordinary front door. He is worth $63 million. And the invisibility is not accidental. It is the strategy. It is, if you examine it carefully, the most sophisticated financial decision he ever made. Not where to invest, not what to buy. The deliberate, calculated, psychologically precise choice of what not to show. This is not a story about frugality. Frugality is about spending less because you have less. This is something entirely different. This is about people who have accumulated extraordinary wealth and who understand, at a level most financial conversations never reach, that visibility is not a reward for success. It is a tax on it. A perpetual, compounding, socially enforced tax that extracts money, energy, opportunity, and freedom from everyone who pays it, and that the genuinely wealthy have quietly learned to stop paying. The disguise is not modesty, it is armor, and understanding why they wear it reveals something about wealth that almost nothing else will. Think about the wealthiest person you know personally, not the richest appearing person, the wealthiest. Now ask yourself whether those are the same person. If they are not, go to the comments and write "not the same." Because that gap between appearing wealthy and being wealthy is the entire territory this investigation covers. Here is the first thing the disguise protects against, and it is more significant than most people realize. When wealth is visible, it changes every relationship it touches. Not dramatically, not all at once, subtly, incrementally, in ways that are difficult to identify in real time but that accumulate into something that genuinely wealthy people describe, consistently, as one of the most isolating experiences of their lives. The moment other people know the number, the relationship with that number begins. Not the relationship with the person, the relationship with what the person represents, with what they might provide, with what proximity to them might produce. The requests arrive. Initially small, reasonable, from people with genuine needs and genuine relationships that predate the wealth. Then from people whose relationship with the wealth arrived before any relationship with the person did. Then from institutions, from causes, from the entire social infrastructure that organizes itself, with remarkable efficiency, around visible concentrations of money. The wealthy person who is visibly wealthy spends a significant and unmeasurable portion of their life managing the social consequences of that visibility, navigating requests, maintaining boundaries, decoding the motivations of people who may or may not be relating to them as a human being rather than as a resource. This is not a trivial cost. It is a constant, draining, relationship-corroding cost that compounds across years and that people who have experienced it describe as one of the things they most wish someone had warned them about. The disguise eliminates that cost almost entirely. The person in the $40 watch is not a target. They are not a resource. They are simply a person. And the relationships that form around a person who appears ordinary are, with a reliability that the genuinely wealthy find profound, more honest than almost anything visibility ever produced. Here is the psychological mechanism beneath this that goes deeper than social management. There is a concept in behavioral psychology called identity robustness. The degree to which a person's sense of self is anchored in something that cannot be externally removed. People whose identity is robustly internal, anchored in values, in relationships, in the private experience of their own competence and character, are significantly more psychologically stable, more capable of clear decision-making, and more resistant to the specific forms of manipulation that target ego and status than people whose identity is anchored in external signals. Visible wealth is an identity anchored in something external, and anything external can be leveraged, can be threatened, can be used to produce behavior that the internal self would never choose. The person whose status depends on the appearance of wealth is, in ways they rarely examine, controllable, Their decisions are shaped not only by their own values and analysis, but by the constant background pressure of maintaining the signal, of not being seen to have fallen, of ensuring that the visible story continues to match the internal one. The person in the disguise has severed that leverage point. There is no visible signal to maintain, no appearance to protect, no status performance whose continuity can be used as pressure. They make decisions from a position that is, psychologically, genuinely free in a way that visible wealth almost never is. This is not a small advantage. This is the difference between playing chess and playing chess while someone holds something you value over the board. Now here is the layer that most people never consider. And this is where the disguise reveals something profound about how wealth actually accumulates versus how it appears to accumulate. Visible wealth has a cost structure that is almost never honestly calculated. Not the obvious costs, the expensive car, the large house, the lifestyle that matches the signal, the invisible costs. The way visibility raises the price of everything it touches. The contractor who quotes differently when the neighborhood changes. The service provider whose fees shift when the office address shifts. The negotiation that starts from a different position when the other party has already assessed your apparent resources and priced accordingly. Wealth that is visible is wealth that is constantly being extracted from, not dramatically. In the hundreds of small transactions, negotiations, and economic interactions that constitute an ordinary financial life, where the visible signal of abundance consistently shifts the terms against the person broadcasting it. The genuinely wealthy understand this not as a grievance, but as a mathematical reality. Every dollar of visible wealth signals to every counterparty in every transaction exactly how much margin exists to be captured. The disguise removes that signal. And the compounding effect of removed signals across thousands of transactions across decades is a number that would surprise most people who have never calculated it. Stop here and think honestly about your own financial behavior. Have you ever spent money primarily because of what spending it would signal to someone else? Not because you wanted the thing, because of what having the thing would communicate. If yes, write signal spending in the comments right now. Because what you just identified is one of the most expensive behavioral patterns in personal finance, and almost nobody names it directly. The other dimension of the disguise that deserves investigation is what it reveals about the psychology of accumulation itself. The people who build and maintain significant wealth over generations, not the people who earn large incomes and spend large incomes, but the people who convert earned income into durable, compounding, genuinely life-altering wealth almost universally share a specific relationship with money that is fundamentally incompatible with visible consumption. They do not experience money as something to be expressed. They experience it as something to be deployed. The distinction sounds simple. The behavioral difference is enormous. Money that is expressed, spent on signals, on status, on the visible markers of success, is money that has reached its final destination. It has been converted into something static, something that communicates a past achievement rather than funding a future one. It is financially finished. Money that is deployed is money that is still working, still compounding, still generating the optionality, the freedom to move, to choose, to act or not act on any given opportunity that genuine wealth actually consists of. The wealthy person in the ordinary clothes is not sacrificing. They are preserving the thing that makes wealth meaningful, which is not the appearance of it, but the options it creates. Here is the insight that reframes this entire conversation. Most people think of wealth as a destination, as the state you arrive at when the number reaches a certain threshold and the lifestyle expands to reflect it. The genuinely wealthy understand something different. They understand that wealth is not a destination, it is a capability. The capability to choose, to act, to wait, to refuse, to take the long position on everything because the short-term cost of waiting is fully absorbable. That capability is not enhanced by visibility. It is undermined by it. Every dollar committed to the maintenance of a visible lifestyle is a dollar removed from the pool of deployable capital. Every social obligation created by visible wealth is a constraint on the freedom that wealth was supposed to provide. The disguise is not deprivation. It is the aggressive protection of the thing wealth is actually for. He knows this. The man in the 10-year-old car and the $40 watch has known it for decades. He did not arrive at the disguise through modesty. He arrived at it through a precise understanding of what the alternative was costing him, not just financially, in freedom, in relationships, in the particular quality of daily life that becomes available when no energy is devoted to the performance of success. He says the strangest part of accumulating real wealth while appearing ordinary is what it reveals about the people who treat you differently once they find out. Not the people who become warmer. The people who become confused, who cannot quite reconcile the number with the car, the watch, the neighborhood, who ask, with genuine bewilderment, why? As if the absence of a visible signal is itself a kind of failure, as if wealth without performance is somehow incomplete. Those conversations, he says, taught him more about money than anything he ever read, because what they revealed is that most people do not actually want wealth. They want the appearance of wealth. They want the signal, the recognition, the social confirmation that the number has been reached and that the world can see it has been reached. The accumulation is almost secondary to the announcement, and the announcement, reliably and mathematically, is what stops the accumulation. The disguise is the refusal to make that announcement. The understanding that the number is not for the room. It is not for the neighborhood. It is not for the social infrastructure that will organize itself around it the moment it becomes visible. It is for the options it creates, for the freedom it protects, for the specific quality of life that only becomes fully available when the performance of it is no longer required. That is the millionaire's disguise, not a costume, a philosophy. The deliberate, psychologically sophisticated choice to keep the signal private so the capability remains intact. So here is the question worth sitting with after this investigation ends. Are you building wealth, or are you building the appearance of wealth? And if you stop performing financial success entirely, what would change about how you actually lived? Go to the comments and answer honestly. Because the distance between those two questions is exactly where most financial lives are quietly decided